First, we're going to start off. I want you to tell me what years did you serve in?
I joined the Army on 20 October 1959 and retired on April 30th, 1982.
Okay, so I know a lot of your kids were born during the time you served. Like, how was that?
That was great. My daughter Anifa LeBlanc was born at Aberdeen Proving Ground in 1970, and my baby daughter Angela LeBlanc was born at the hospital in Germany in 1972.
Okay, so that was a good experience with you with them, even though y'all weren't home. It was a great experience because you had your family with you.
Absolutely. This is one of the greatest things about the military, as far as I'm concerned, the fact that you get an opportunity to travel to different places, see and do different things, and it is so enlightening and so educational. So that's why I loved it so much.
Okay, so you said it was so enlightening and so educational. With all that you got to see, what all you learned.
Well, it's one of the things that is so important about the military is that not just being away from home or being in these different places, but you're with different people. And any time that you are with different people and conversing and so forth, there that is in itself a learning experience. Not to mention being stationed in California, being stationed at Fort Polk in northern Louisiana, being stationed at Aberdeen Proving Ground in Maryland, Fort Eustis, Virginia, over in Germany, three different assignments that gave me that opportunity to see and do so many different things that I wouldn't have been able to do had I been here in Louisiana.
Right. Did you ever get a chance to like learn any new languages?
Yes, one of the things that we had to do when we went to Germany the second and third time was that we had classes to teach us the basic phrases of German to get a basic understanding. Of course, I've been gone from there for such a long period of time, and not using the language means that it got away from me. But at the time that I was over there, I could get all of the basic things done, like ordering food and stuff like that. And also, we had to have classes on Korean when I was stationed in Korea from 1964 to 1965.
Okay, so I didn't know you were in Korea actually. Were you active in any other wars?
Yes, I was in the war in Vietnam, and I went to Vietnam in May of 1967 and returned in May of 1968. I was stationed in Da Nang, Vietnam, and I was in the signal communication.
Well, that's good. Was any of it like scary? Um, did it like make you worry or anything like that? Like, how did it make you feel being out there in war?
Well, it was kind of unique in a sense that there was no front line. In Vietnam, the enemy were everywhere, and so it was very easy for someone to be right on the base with you during the daytime, and then they would attack you at night because they were Viet Cong. That was no. So yes, there was a lot of uneasiness, and there was a lot of nights that we didn't sleep, a lot of nights that we were on the line anticipating an attack and so forth because the enemy was all around you. There was no front line.
Wow. So I didn't know that. Like I heard, in history they teach us a lot about the wars, but they never like, know the specifics because no one is actually there to know. And that's the point of this project, so like that we can get an insight from what y'all had to deal with.
Well, it was really different. And then again, we had this type of confrontation in Vietnam, and this is the same thing that our troops faced when they went to Iraq and Afghanistan. The fact that there was no clear front line. The enemy were all around you. And in a lot of cases, they worked with you during the day, and then they were part of the people that was planning the attack at night. So it was a constant thing. I mean, it was no way that you could sit around and lower your guard. You had to stay on guard the whole time.
Yeah, that sounds stressful. uh, I just want you to know that I appreciate your service, because that's a lot, and I salute any and every one of y'all that ever went out and put y'all life at risk for us. Um, so what was like one of your biggest challenges out there?
Well, uh, the biggest thing that I had to deal with when I was in Vietnam was the fact that I my site where I was stationed was Da Nang Air Force Base, but I had a lot of little small sites, Monkey Mountain, Dong Hao, Phu Bai, Wei, Quang Tree, Chulai, and I was responsible for getting the amount of supplies and equipment that all of these sites needed. And this was done in a war zone. And of course, you couldn't go by truck because the enemy were out there. So everywhere that I had to go, everywhere I had to ship supplies or anything to, had to be done by air because we couldn't drive. And so that was kind of stressful, but uh, I was given the Bronze Star Medal, which is a high combat medal. You can only get that medal in combat. I was given a Bronze Star Medal because I was so intense on getting everything that these people needed in all of these different sites that I was responsible for.
Wow, yeah, that's good. You deserved that medal.
Thank you.
um, Being in the service so long, did you ever make any like close friends?
Oh my God! Yes, yes. Yesterday I talked to Levita and Dave Ligon. They're retired and they are up in Hopewell, Virginia.
Okay.
We were stationed together in Zweibrücken, Germany, from 1971, and we're still friends. A good friend of mine is Charlie Brown. He's in Columbia, South Carolina, and I can't converse with him anymore because he has some mental problems now. But Charlie Brown is, I think, 92 years old. And one of my oldest Army buddies lives in Fort Worth, Texas. I met him on the 8th of March, 1960, in Hanau, Germany. And we are still good friends, and we're still on the phone talking to each other, usually weekly.
That's good. It's good to meet good people while you're out serving the country and doing what you're doing. Y'all put y'all lives at risk, and like y'all do very risky things, and you want to be surrounded by people that you can love, communicate with, and just make great relationships. So that's good.
Absolutely. You're absolutely correct.
Um, what were like the living conditions when you were out there?
Well, everything is a little different. I was stationed on the air base in Vietnam when I was in combat, so
Mm-hmm.
we were a little different. We had the Air Force, the Army, and the Marines on the air base, and so we had like uh, showers and flush commodes and sidewalk. But many of the places that I had sites in Vietnam when I went there, there was no flush commodes or anything like that. They had to get up in the morning, go to a burn pit with the waste and everything, and there was no sidewalks and stuff. So it was a combination of everything that's combined.
Yeah. So before you went out there, were you drafted or did you volunteer to go?
I volunteered. When I graduated from high school, I was 16 years old. So when the recruiter came to Lower High School here in Donaldsonville, Louisiana, I couldn't go to the meeting because I wasn't 17. And so after graduating from high school, I went to California and I went out there to go to college. And then, as my father said, I met with some bad people and they enticed me to go into the service. But I made my 17th birthday on the 12th of September and I went into the service on the 20th of October. So you can see me just a month plus a few days after I made my 17th birthday that I went into the military.
Okay. Where did you receive like your training?
Uh, I received my basic training at Fort Ord, California. I received my advanced artillery training at Oak Hill, Oklahoma. And that covered my first 3 years of service. And when I went back in 1962, I went to Fort Polk, Louisiana, and I got my basic supply training at Fort Polk, Louisiana. And then afterwards, as I progressed, I went and got all of the advanced logistic courses at Fort Lee, Virginia. So I got trained in several different places. Went to the NCO Academy in Bremerhaven, Germany. The training was nonstop. It was all the time.
Yeah. So far it sounds like that being a veteran was one of the best decisions you made. You talk so positive about everything. This is a very great interview. I'm enjoying this.
Well, one of my thoughts have always been that one of the areas that we are allowing the United States to go down is the fact that it is not mandatory that young kids get some type of military training. Because in addition to going out to the field and teaching you how to shoot a weapon or a rifle or whatever, there are other major things that is taught to you: how to be a man or how to be a woman, how to respect yourself, how to study, how to respect people. All of this is part of being a good soldier. And many people that I've met that went in and spent 3 years or 4 years in, their only thing they always say is, I wish I had stayed in. Because the learning aspect of being in the military is something beyond what you can believe.
That's good. So if you had a chance, besides being retired, would you do it all over again?
Yes, I will absolutely do it all over again. I probably wouldn't have taken the same direction that I took, but I would do it over again because because of that constant thing about education. That was that educational thing that was that constant push on my mind. And because of that thought process of always going to school and always learning, I exceeded any of my expectations, and I could have done even better if I just stopped and waited. But that education is unbelievable. It's a thing that costs the most people their career, because if you don't get it, you don't progress.
That's true. All right. So Veterans Day is super important holiday. Um, is it important to you? What does it mean to you?
Well, it does give you a good feeling to know that the nation pauses and give respect to the people who have given us the opportunity to do what we do now, free of choice. And that is a really great thing. There's a whole lot of stuff that's available to us during that particular day. Yes, it's about a general feeling of letting you know that the nation appreciate what you have done to keep us the way that we are.
Yeah. Um, if you had something, a message to tell anyone who is thinking about going in the service right now, what would it be?
Well, I would be kind of hard on them as far as the other services are concerned, but I would highly recommend that our young people really think about going into the service. It's a beautiful experience to begin with. Secondly, if you want to go to college, most of the colleges now have ROTC, Reserve Officers Training Corps. And to join this ROTC, when you finish college, and the first thing that's available to you is that you've got a job waiting for you for 3 years at least, at a minimum, where you can get more studying and more experience under your belt so that you can enter into the world. Not to mention the fact that you come out as an officer. I highly recommend this to all people that I talk to, and if they talk to me about the military, I always tell them join the Army because there's more position because the Army is the largest force and there's more position available, more promotion available, more places to go available, and everything else. So I'm kind of partial toward the Army.
All right. Well, that about sums up our interview. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.